Good afternoon and welcome to the 6th Annual Leadership Accelerator Information Session. We have an agenda, and let me walk you through that as soon as I can get the slide to move. Can you see it on your end?
It hasn't changed.
Hasn't changed.
No.
Okay. We ran into this earlier. There we go. Okay. We have our Hudson Gateway Association of Realtors president with us this afternoon, Laura Sedgy, and then she's going to talk a little bit about the program. She actually is an alumna of the program. So thank you, Laura, for being here. Laura is going to turn the program over to Gail Fatizzi to talk about the Leadership Accelerator history. Gail's one of our past presidents. And then she'll turn it over to Catherine DeClerc, who is our LAP facilitator and also one of our past presidents of the association. And then Catherine is going to have a Q&A with two alumnas, Nan Palumbo and Tiffany French-Goff. And she's going to just bounce some questions off of them. And we're going to open it up to the rest of you for questions. So if you do have questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. I'm going to turn it over to Laura. It's all yours, Laura.
It actually goes in the Q&A, right? And I think the chat's disabled for them.
No, I'm only seeing chat on my end. Do you see chat on your end?
There is a Q&A. I can click on Q&A and type a question, I think. No, oh, no open questions.
Yeah, so we did get a question in the Q&A. Someone did write hello. So I think it's in the Q&A that they have access to.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laura Sadie, and I am the current president of the Hudson Gateway Association of Realtors. And I firmly believe that I'm only in this position and have the fortitude and skills to be able to perform my duties because of the Leadership Accelerator program. Where to start? I really think this is one of the most member-centric and valuable programs we have at our association, only because it not only prepares our members for leadership, but it really does a great job of introducing just how wonderful our association is and how valuable the people we have leading the association, running the association, advocating for the association are for our membership. And you can't find any program where it's all condensed in such a neat package as it is in LAP. And I'm a really big fangirl of it. I've been invited to speak before last year as a panelist. And it's a 10-month program, but it feels like it goes by in a heartbeat because every session is so jam-packed that even though you're meeting once a month, you feel the effects of that one meeting the entire month long. And there are things that today come up in both my business and in leadership where I remember something I learned in LAP and it helps me with that particular situation. So I'm excited to hear this program, and I will never get bored of attending this program because even though I've been in LAP, if I could, I'd probably do it again. That's how wonderful it was. And I'm going to pass it on to Gail so she can tell you how this all got started.
Thank you, Flora. And obviously no better way to highlight the value of the LAP program than by having our current HGAR president as an alumni of the program. So thank you, Flora. I know you've been a huge supporter from the beginning. So I'm Gail Fatizzi. I'm the past president of HGAR, a past president. I served in 2020, which of course was the year of COVID. So there were lots of things that year that did not go as expected and were just a lot more challenging to accomplish. But one of the goals that I did set for my year as president was to launch this Leadership Accelerator program. And despite the challenges of COVID, we did manage to get that done. The first year was actually a program of all virtual sessions. The participants didn't meet each other that year until graduation. So they went through 9 months of doing everything virtually, and it was still a success. And now we thankfully have the ability to be in person for a lot of the program, but this was definitely the initiative that I most wanted to bring to fruition that year. And the initial inspiration and sort of revelation came in 2019 as I was incoming president, and we were working on our strategic plan for the association that year. And our strategic plan typically is a blueprint for what the goals are and what the mission is of the association for the coming few years. And one of the things that came to light for me during that strategic planning process was that our association didn't have in place any sort of defined or streamlined path that members could follow who wanted to become more involved in the association and take that involvement into leadership roles for the future. And for me, I've joked for a long time that it took me 10 years of volunteering for the association to really fully understand everything that we do and all of the opportunities to get involved. And there's, besides HGAR, there's NISAR, there's NAR, there's Women's Council, there's RPAC, there's all of these other factions and associations. And it took a long time to put the pieces together and to really be clear on who did what and how it all worked together. And what I realized during that strategic planning process was we didn't have 10 years to wait for other people to go through that same sort of learning process that I had taken to get to where I was as a member of the association, and that we really needed to figure out a way to bring new leaders, new voices, new ideas and perspectives forward quickly and not have to have everybody go through that. So the objective of the program objectives was, it's designed to identify future leaders, give them the opportunity to explore and expand their leadership skills, and then to empower these future leaders by providing them with a knowledge-based foundation to serve in leadership roles. And those leadership roles may be personal as well as professional, and to make the process more streamlined and shorter than that 10-year window that it took me to get to that point. So the first year, like I say, we did during COVID, we actually had a great class that year, 12 participants that were selected. And this is amazing to me that we are actually going to be graduating our 5th Leadership Accelerator program class in June, so next month, and starting our 6th one in September. I mean, to Laura's point, I mean, it feels like just yesterday that we started this whole program and process, and I can't say enough about how proud I am of all of the participants that have come through the program and how they have stepped up and fulfilled a lot of the leadership roles at the association, whether it's as committee chairs, directors, serving on the Realtor Foundation, Women's Council, NARAB. So there's just so many paths and so many opportunities that our participants have taken advantage of to engage their individual passions and their knowledge and experience that they acquired during the program. And I'm really glad to have Nan and Tiffany here today to talk about their experiences, and not only during the program, but then since the program as well. Just quickly, who are we looking for when we're looking for applicants and participants for LAP? Lots of traits. I think if you ask 15 people, you'd get 15 different answers about what defines a good leader. And just to name a few, passion, focus, clarity, integrity, honesty, vision, decisiveness, altruism, and the list goes on, and everybody has a different definition. But I think that for most people, I think you probably have a good sense about yourself as to whether you think maybe you're a good leader or you have the potential to be a good leader, but you haven't had the ability or the opportunity to demonstrate that leadership. Or maybe you have been a leader in your personal life, in your community, your school, a previous career, whatever it may be. So leadership comes in lots of different ways, shapes, and fashions. So I think there's opportunity here, and if you think that you may have what it takes and have an interest and a willingness to give back to your Realtor Association, or just as I say, to become a better leader for your team, for your office, whatever it may be, we really do encourage you to apply. Most leaders in our association over the years, I have found, have initially gotten involved because someone specifically invited them to participate, whether it was to serve on a committee, to be part of a project, or join a team of some sort. So I would like everybody on this call today to consider this your personal invitation from us to further develop your leadership skills, and to join LAP. So I thank everybody for being here, for taking the time to learn more about the Leadership Accelerator program. And so I'm going to turn it over to Catherine, who's going to give you more specifics about the program and how it all works. Catherine?
Thank you, Gail. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Catherine DeClercq, also a past president, 2013 of the Hudson Gateway, the second president of the, at the time, newly formed Hudson Gateway, which made up of Orange, Rockland, Westchester, Putnam. I have been working with Gail on the Leadership Accelerator since it was an idea, and we are so excited to tell you about the program. As Gail mentioned, the Leadership Accelerator program supports the strategic plan by identifying and developing new leaders who will play a role in shaping the association's future in a dynamic and relevant organization serving our members. We're just about to complete, as Gail said, our 5th class graduating this June. We're going to hear from some of those participants shortly, and they'll tell you about their own experience, and you will be able to ask questions. Again, the questions go in the Q&A, and we are monitoring that throughout the session this afternoon. Let me tell you about the program. First of all, it's not for everyone. Are you a leader in your personal life, community, or business organization? Are you a good decision maker? Are you a natural born leader who wants to hone your skills, learn more about your Realtor Association, and participate in the future direction of HGAR? If so, then this may be for you. The program's objective is to empower future leaders by providing a knowledge-based foundation for serving in a leadership role, both professionally and personally. Let me tell you about the program. The program will run from September. Do we have the slides up? I'm just not sure that are you seeing the slides, Gail? There we go. Thanks, Jenna. I'm just got to switch over to presenter view. Thank you. So the program is going to run from September 2025 through June 2026. It will consist of 10 sessions, speakers, and field work. The meetings will be once a month. Some are half day, some are full day. Many dates will be known before the program begins. I'm just waiting for the slides to catch up with me. Okay, thank you. So let me tell you about the topics of the sessions. We'll kick off our first session by reviewing the HGAR organization, committee structure, and staff, the One Key MLS, HGAR's relationship with NAR and NYSAR, and of course, we'll delve into HGAR's strategic plan. From here, we're going to explore leadership styles in session 2. We'll learn about the topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion in our industry. Outside presenters will discuss the role of leaders in a realtor organization, economic development, leading during adversity, and legislative advocacy. I think there's a problem with the slides. So if you want, Janet, you want to just jump out and I will launch the slides because they were stuck. So give me a second. Actually, I don't think I have the ability to share. There we go. So sorry about that, guys. Jenna was having some issue on her end with them, so. Just give me 1 second. Technology's great when it works, isn't it?
You want me to give it another shot, Catherine?
Nope, just need 1 second just for it to open. There we go. Okay.
I also sent you a message in the chat, Jana.
Okay. All right, so there we go. All right. So let's take a look what we missed. So these are our participants from 2020 who graduated in 2021. This is our graduating class of who graduated in 2022 and 2023 and 2024. Probably some faces that you recognize. Showing you some of our alumni and their current roles in the association or some of their previous roles. So we're so proud of all of the things that they've accomplished and how the Leadership Accelerator program has helped them develop in that fashion. So these are the sessions that we were talking about. And I think we were up to, yeah. There we go. So outside presenters. That's the last topic that I talked about. So to tell you again, the role of leaders in the Realtor organization, economic development, leading during adversity, legislative advocacy, just some of the topics. You will hear insightful viewpoints from past presidents, and here's a shot of our past presidents panel as they share their experiences as leaders of the organization. There will be spokesperson training, which is always one of the most exciting days. This encompasses public speaking using judgment and the leader's role in presenting the official view of the organization. Member Day and Lobby Day also have a place in the program. No program would be complete without the topic of running meetings and fiduciary duties and responsibilities. And finally, there will be a class project. The participants in the program will decide what that project will be. And once approved, they will have until June to execute the project. It can be something to benefit a segment or the entire membership. It could be to enhance the association's image or even the association's processes. So now, are you wondering, how do I get in? I'll tell you a little bit about how you would apply and the dates. The cost of the program to the participant is $250. HGAR is subsidizing the balance of the cost of the program. Applications are due by June 5th, and applicant interviews will be conducted between June 16th through June 30th. And that is done on Zoom, by the way. Applicants that are accepted will be notified by July 8th and have until July 15th to acknowledge their acceptance and to remit the $250 course fee. There are 2 pre-work assignments that must be completed before the first session in September. The first will teach you the basics of volunteer leadership through a no-cost, self-guided online course called Realtors Excelling in Association Leadership, and it covers real estate issues and trends, enhancing leadership skills, meeting management, governing documents and policies, legal and regulatory activities, visioning, planning, and budgeting. The second pre-work you will have is to read the book, The First Person You Must Lead Is You by Rebecca Hallstad. The book will be supplied to successful applicants upon receipt of the tuition at no additional cost to them. The application will be posted in the chat and also available on HGAR's website. So let me tell you a little bit about the criteria that's used for selection. It will include level of involvement as a Realtor, desire to serve in a volunteer leadership role, previous involvement as a volunteer in the community or the Realtor Association, being able and willing to make the time commitment to participate fully in the program. 100% attendance is expected and required. There's also a need for 2 letters of recommendation. The program will be limited to 12 to 15 people to maximize the experience for all. At this point, I'm going to open up the meeting to questions. So if you have any, please type them in the Q&A so we can answer those questions. And then I'm going to work my way toward introducing our guest panel. I don't see any questions as of yet, so feel free, everybody, to type whatever questions you have in the Q&A. How many spaces are there? 12 to 15. And that's decided based on the number of applicants who apply. So thank you, Lauren, for asking that. So while I'm waiting for any additional questions, first person I'd like to introduce is Tiffany French-Goff, who's a native of New Rochelle in Westchester County. She earned a degree in political science and government from the National Treasure Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. Now living in Connecticut, she is duly licensed and working in both New York and Connecticut. Tiffany's been a realtor for 14 years, specializing in mostly residential transactions. She is the current chair of HGAR's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Tiffany has a heart for service and sees real estate as an integral part of community building. Welcome, Tiffany. And I'd also like to introduce Nan Palumbo, who's been a licensed real estate salesperson for 8 years, after spending 11 years as a real estate investor and 3 years as a licensed contractor. She's a graduate of the first LAP class and has chaired the Young Professionals Network and Members Day and served on the nominating committee and is now on the board of directors for HGAR. Nan is a Westchester resident and New York native who attended Bronx High School of Science and earned a bachelor's degree in business administration from Fordham University. She's fluent in both Thai and Italian and has had a successful floral business for the past 20 years and is also an avid motorcyclist. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Hi.
So, hi. So let's talk. And the first question, and I'll just kind of bounce it back and forth. And Flora, if you feel like you want to chime in, you know you are welcome to. So first of all, Nan, Tiffany, why did you apply for the program? What was it at the time that interested you?
Okay, so for me, like Catherine said, I was part of the first class. I was part of the COVID class. There was no one to speak on a panel before we joined to say like what it was all about. It was just kind of like, hey, we've got this. Do you want to join? But the program sounded so interesting to me because I knew I wanted to be involved with HGAR. I knew I wanted to do something with the association. I didn't know what. And I had seen someone else kind of dive into HGAR feet first, no prep, and I saw how challenging it was. Even though it was still a great experience, it definitely had a lot of hurdles. So, I figured this program would be great to learn more about the association, about what they do, about why they do it, and, learn about the volunteer opportunities and just kind of get that stepping stone to being a part of it. That's what I wanted out of it.
Great, thank you. Tiffany, go ahead.
For me, I was invited. So I had applied for a director position, but obviously I was not ready at the time. It was my first tryout of trying to get more involved in the board. I really wasn't sure how people join committees and things of that. So someone invited me randomly to apply for a director position. I didn't get it at the time, but Gail messaged me afterwards and said, I think that you'd be a good fit for this program. So she invited me to apply, and it was the best thing that she could have done because it really helped me figure out how our association actually works and be ready to become more involved in the association.
Great. I'm going to ask you more about that in a second. There was a question in the chat. Should the letters of recommendation be from your broker? It can be from your broker. It can be from others outside of real estate. We have seen recommendation letters from people in the community, other groups that applicants have worked with. So it can be real estate specific. We've seen it from brokers, from clients, whoever you think would best represent your interest in the program or speak to your desire to develop your leadership skills or even some of your past leadership involvement. So it can be, whoever you would like. So Tiffany, you were saying, go ahead and tell me, how has the program positively impacted you in your business or your personal life?
It really helped me with my leadership. Some of the sessions prepared us not just for participation in the board, but like one of the sessions is public speaking where you do mock interviews. So that has helped me beyond real estate. And it also helped me like get a map of the association and what the committees are and what the different roles are and what you do to get into those positions. So that's been helpful to now I am the chair of the DEI committee. So I don't think that if I hadn't done LAP first, I would have figured out how to get there.
Great, thank you. Nan, what would you say? How has it positively impacted your business or personal life?
So for me, LAP, when people ask me that, like, oh, was LAP a good thing? And I'm like, unequivocally, yes, 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 lots of exclamation points. Um, it changed my attitude. It changed how I saw myself. It gave me a better understanding of my abilities, of my potential. I mean, it literally changed my life. I remember at the time my best friend occasionally asking me like, who are you? Like, what's going on? Did something happen? Like, what's changed? And I would say, nothing. And then I'd go, oh, except I just had an LAP session. And we'd laugh about it, but it was so true. I made, during that time, I made like a huge decision because of my like newfound, I don't know, confidence and understanding. And it has continued to have a positive impact on my life and business ever since.
So tell me, what was your favorite session?
So my favorite session had to be lobby day. Um, I am completely or was like completely clueless when it came to politics, first of all. Uh, thought that lobby day was more, was about politicians when it's really about us as an association and how, you know, our worlds intertwine and what we can do to advocate for our industry, our clients, our people. But also, you know, politicians to me had always been kind of like celebrities, like you see them on TV, you see them in the paper, and then you get to lobby day and you're having these conversations with them. You're asking them very pointed questions. They're giving you answers that you can debate or not, right? And I just found it to be so interesting and enlightening that we're able to have those types of conversations with people who, can have an impact on it. So that was my favorite session for sure.
Thanks. Tiffany, which one was your favorite?
I was going to say the same thing, Lobby Day. In previous years, I had seen advertisements for us to go to Lobby Day, and I'm like, I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. to be anywhere at 6 a.m. So, but because it was mandatory, I did go that year, and this year I didn't go, but I've been every year after that. first time, and it was just as Nan described it. And I got to use my public speaking because I got interviewed there, so I was prepared for that. But other than lobby day, I liked the roundtable with the mayors that we had that session, being able to talk to some of the community leaders and hearing what's coming up in their communities that we are selling in. And I also liked Freddie Garcia coming to speak to us about at the time, it was kind of new, our DEI committee. So those were my favorite sessions.
Great, thank you. So I'll start with Tiffany. What have you learned about yourself working with others as a result of the program or the project?
So, do you want me to talk about our project? Because that was, I got to help take somewhat of a leadership role on our project. Laura and I were in the same classes of LAP. Our project was a video, the value of a realtor, and it was so much fun. I normally am not someone who likes to work in group settings. That is why I'm in real estate. I'll work with you for a little while and then we move on to the next thing. I don't really like having the timelines and time constraints that aren't up to me. So that was really something that stretched me, and we got so close. Our group chat is still active, and we still like talk to each other and use each other as resources. So that is something that I learned about myself. Like I can work in a group and be effective.
Laura, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I have to jump in on that. So I was one of the group leaders, but really what Tiffany is saying is so true because we were all group leaders. Like everybody had their strengths. They all pitched in such a perfect way for our group. Um, and even I remember I had a trip to Florida with my kids, and Tiffany said, "You're on vacation. I'm going to take this over for you so that you can just go be with your kids," which thank you, Tiffany. I wasn't with my kids anyway. I was doing other work regardless. But just the thought that she jumped in and did that, and that was so indicative of everyone else. And I've always been I'm sure people can relate to this. You're in a group and like one person does more work than anybody else, but everybody gets the credit. That was so the opposite in this case. Everybody chipped in and nobody cared about the credit. They just cared about a really great final product, which we did. And I think we were also the only LAP class that had a prom. We did have a prom after our graduation. So,
Which they organized themselves, by the way.
And yes, you were the only class that did that. I thought it was awesome.
I'm so jealous. Can you organize a prom for all the alumni?
Laura organized, so you not sure.
and we even did prom photos and we danced. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, and they did have the COVID class, so it was
Yes.
they didn't meet until the graduation, like in person. So that was an unusual year in so many ways, right? Nan,
Definitely.
what did you learn about yourself or working with others, whether it was the program or the project?
So I think my feelings emulate theirs. In my past life, I was a market research analyst, right? Super social, except not at all. Um, and then I became a business owner. So I went from being like the one who took all the orders to the one who gave all the orders, like the only one. And then here came LAP. Um, I found that it was like I learned to lead with others. You know, everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. But as long as everyone's kind of pitching in, like it worked. And yes, we had some difficulties because of COVID, and I think we were still even learning how to use, you know, the scheduling things and Zoom, like all of that was just starting. Um, so but for us, it was still, even through the challenges, we were able to collaborate, coordinate, and it was just, for myself, I learned that it works. You can have like multiple chefs in the kitchen. You can lead together, work together, and still come out with, a great result.
And it's really designed to simulate reality because in other committees and other groups that we're in, there are times where someone doesn't participate or you have too many too many chefs in the kitchen. So it gives you an opportunity to work through real world scenarios through the project. Awesome.
Yeah.
How did you find that the time commitment? Was it manageable for you, Nan?
For me, totally manageable. And like, keep in mind, I am a single mom. My kids were still pretty small then. I ran two other businesses plus two investment properties totaling like 36 doors at the time. And I still was able to do LAP. I mean, basically the schedule comes out right in the beginning. You plug it all into your calendar, and we were really good at staying within the time frame that was on the schedule. So it worked. Yeah.
Great. Tiffany?
Same. I really appreciated that all of the dates were laid out from the beginning. So I was able to just put it in my calendar and I know that I've made a commitment and just don't set anything else for those time periods. It was also helpful that it was both virtual and in person for our class. So I live in Connecticut, so I didn't always have to carve out commute time to get there.
Right. And just again, it's full day or half day commitments, in advance whether it's going to be, and really the only full days are lobby day, and that's kind of a full day, as well as spokesperson training. The other sessions are all half days. And then the time that the group commits to the project, and the group makes that themselves. So they organize their own meetings, which of course can all be done virtually or in person, however the group decides they want it. So the group time is, we have a little bit of time built into our sessions for them to have some meetings, but most of their work is done outside of the monthly meeting. And we do finish in June. And our goal is that the project is done and completed by June, in almost with very limited reasons for it to not be, but we want to finish by June. So Tiffany, would you recommend the program to others?
Absolutely. Even if you don't have aspirations of leadership in the association, I think it helps in general because not all of the sessions are so laser focused on HGAR, but also just being helpful in your leadership within your community as well. So if you want to figure out how programs work outside of HGAR, I thought it was also helpful for that as well.
Nan?
Yeah, same. Absolutely would recommend it to anyone, not just someone who wants to climb the ladder at HGR, but to find the growth in yourself. Like I feel like this program, if you really apply yourself, you can, get so much out of it that has nothing to do with real estate and can be applied to like life in general.
Nan, tell me, did you create new relationships as a result of the program?
Oh, a ton, a ton. Not just directly, right? Layla and Tony and Ralph, Cheryl, like, I mean, we worked together for so long, and then with the project, we spent a lot of hours together, even on Zoom, right? So lots of direct relationships. You, Catherine, Gail, I recently told, I was like, Gail, I'm always gonna feel like your baby bird, right? It just kind of is. So, it you build these relationships directly from the program, but then indirectly, because when I came out of the program, the leadership roles that I started to take on in HGAR allowed me to develop even more relationships with other people, all really stemming from the LAP.
Tiffany?
Yeah, we definitely built relationships, not just with our class, but just with people in the association. Like, even I'm not always the most social person. So I come to like HAR events and I will stand in the corner and Catherine will come and grab me and introduce me to 15 people whose names I won't remember afterwards. But definitely, it really helped with relationship building. I was a part of the association for probably about 10 years before I did the program, but since doing the program, I've met so many other people. And as I said before, our group chat is still going. If we have leads, we'll put them in there. If we are working in each other's areas, we are talking to each other and asking questions. If we need some kind of like a recommendation for construction or anything like that. We're in our chat, like using each other as resources.
Awesome. Awesome. There's a question in the Q&A. Does the project determine the completion of the program? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that question, so let me explain how the project does work. The group decides on their project. They come up with a topic in December, typically. We like to have several sessions under their belts and some exposure to the association, because the project needs to service either a segment of the membership, the entire membership. It could appeal to the public. It can fix a process that may need improvement. So we don't want to be narrow in our focus. We try to keep the ideas open, and the group comes up with what they suggest. They bounce some ideas off of us to see if anything like that's been done before, or if there's any kind of challenges with some of those ideas. And then we give them the go ahead, and they flesh out typically those details. And then the biggest challenge that Gail and I have seen in our seats is trying to get it to fit and not be so large, because they come with really great ideas, tremendous ideas, and we want to narrow this down and finish it. When I say that some things have gone on past June, which is the graduation, we did have a project that helped with onboarding of new members who joined the association, and that can live on in the future. That's something that if the project is approved by the board of directors, that might be something that the association picks up and continues later. That's also an option. But our goal is the members piece, the participants piece, be done by June. So that we have graduation in June, and they present at the board meeting the scope of the project to the directors, and then we have a celebratory lunch as well. So it coincides with the end of the program, if that answers your question, Jennifer. And if you have a follow-up question, go ahead and put it in the Q&A. So speaking of the project, what were your takeaways? Tiffany, I'll start with you.
I really enjoyed our project. It helped with, I guess the discussion was, how do we get across our value proposition? Like when we're starting to work with new clients and trying to help people understand what a realtor actually does. And it's not just show you a house and then you're done with the and we don't do anything else. So we really laid out in our video, briefly, and it's meant to be broken up into different segments so that you can hit 1 or 2 points with your clients and send them just a bite-sized something that they can watch really quick and get some understanding. So I thought that was really good, and I like that I see it from time to time at different association meetings that you go to, they show it. So I felt like I guess my takeaway from that is just we were adding value not just to our clients but also to the association, and I felt like it was a meaningful thing that we did.
Great, thank you. Nan.
So a couple of my takeaways were, one, collaboration is key. Two, the balance will be found. So we had, a lot of different personalities, lots of strengths and weaknesses, different times being in the industry. And in the end, though, everyone really came together to make it work. But also we had to learn, to rein in the big ideas. So our class had the onboarding idea, right? Which we really wanted to like do so much with, but it was unmanageable at that point. So for us, like we had to learn that in order to have something really be successful, we had to make it so that it could be manageable. Those were my takeaways.
Great. And our other project ideas, the last group did a toolkit for housing vouchers, and the group before that revamped the website and content to develop the Leadership Accelerator program. And I don't want to give any any secrets away on what this group's working on. So we'll hear about that, more about that later. And lastly, this is my last question, and I'll start with you, Nan. What surprised you the most about the program?
What surprised me most was that it was almost not at all about real estate. To me, it was about people. You know, it was about the participants. It was about the association, the people that we can help, people that we can reach out to. Um, you know, again, life in general, the world in general, like it wasn't, you know, and since maybe because we didn't have a class preceding us, right? And we weren't really sure what it was going to be all about. That was what surprised me most, how little it was focused on real estate.
Okay, Tiffany?
I think what Nan said, and also seeing the different levels of experience, like it wasn't just something that people just starting in the business or doing, or it wasn't something that you had to have 20 years of experience in order to be a part of. Like some of our people had been in the business like 6 months before, some of us had been in 20 years plus, and we're already their own brokers, broker owners. So I thought that it was a really good mix, and we got to hear from different viewpoints and perspectives in the business. And also, I guess I was surprised at how connected it made me to our association. I live in Connecticut, as I said, I'm an hour away, so sometimes it's easy to feel disconnected and not be involved. But I think that my participation in the program has also reeled me in to pay more attention and have more conversations and more relationships with other realtors, especially in this time where sometimes you could go through a whole transaction and not meet the other person on the other end. So it really helps me put like faces to names as well.
Awesome. So a couple of questions are in the chat. What's the size of the pool of applicants? How many people apply to get into the program? The pool is as large as the entire association membership, which we've got, I don't know, what do we have, 12, 14,000 members? So everyone is welcome to apply. It's competitive. We have more applicants than the positions that are open. We take between 12 and 15, so it is competitive. And the deadline for the application is June 5th, and interviews are going to be held between June 16th and June 30th. Those are on Zoom. And if there's any other questions. Any last thoughts? Anything that we didn't touch on that you guys want to say before we start to wrap up?
You know, I would just want to encourage anyone, like Tiffany mentioned, right? No matter how much time you have in the industry, no matter what sort of role you're in, if this sounds interesting to you, and you want to, you know, kind of go into it, put yourself forth for it, I would very highly encourage you to do it. Um, you know, I had to have someone who pushed me a little bit and said, "No, you really need to do this." And I was very new in the business. I want to say maybe 18 months in, maybe 2 years. And you know, she was kind of like, "No, no, no, it doesn't matter if you've only been in for just a little bit of time. You really you have to do this. This will be good for you." You know, and so I did.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, because I think sometimes people think I haven't been in the business long enough to be a leader in the association, and that's not really what we are looking for. We're looking for people with a genuine interest to grow their leadership abilities. Would we ultimately like you to serve the association? Of course, absolutely. But it is not required. So if you are new to the business, don't let that be a reason to deter you. And if you are experienced in the business, it doesn't mean that you would be excluded from consideration as well if you are, again, earnestly want to grow your leadership skills. There is no application fee to apply for the program. If you are accepted into the program, there is a commitment of $250. We expect to announce to applicants by July 8th. And then you have till July 15th to remit your, your commitment, your agreement to the program. Then we send you the book. You've got some summer reading for our first meeting in September.
Catherine,
You're very welcome. I see another question. Did you want to jump in, Laura?
yeah, just to piggyback on what you said and what Nan said. I was president of Women's Council when I applied, and I was leading a team. And, my first thought was like, I'm probably too experienced for this program. I think a really important part of leadership is being self-aware enough to know that you're never too experienced and there's never, you're never done learning and growing. So I learned a tremendous amount through the program, even as somebody who had already had leadership experience. So whether you're new, whether you're seasoned, there is so much value in this 10-month program that wherever you're at, you should be interested in applying.
Great, thank you for adding on to that. In the chat, I have another question, which is directed toward Tiffany and Nan. Can you discuss what the time commitments look like outside of the monthly meetings to work on the project? And just let me say that the groups don't decide on their project topic until December. So usually meetings to discuss would not even occur until then. So it is from like a December until June timeframe to work on the project, but I'll let them answer in terms of how much time, how did they coordinate that?
Right. I was going to say that you're already a third of the program through by the time you start adding on extra time commitments. And it really depends on what your project is and what level of participation you have in the group and what kind of execution is required in order to get your project finished. So I think it was different for all of us. And even though I was helping out with our project pretty hands-on, I didn't feel like it stretched me beyond what I would do with my free time anyway. So it was maybe an hour or two a week in addition, not even, depending on how close we were. So I don't think that was it was much more added to my plate just to do the project. And you're working as a group, so it doesn't all fall on you.
Right, and I do want to say that the group selects 2 class representatives who are the liaisons to me, Gail, and Jana, and then we go to the board of directors if there's a budgetary issue, if there's other things that need to be approved. So whoever is the class rep will have a couple of conversations with us throughout the program as well. Nan, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would say those numbers, 1 to 2 hours a week, probably right on, if not a little high, even like 2 hours a week. I don't remember putting that much into it at that time. I do remember, thinking like, oh, it's so great that we're like, 13 or 15 of us, so everyone like splits it up and everyone has like small chunk. And it wasn't for us, we weren't trying to meet like 15 of us at once. We broke it all down into little pieces, and then groups of 2 or 3 would manage each piece. So you only had to coordinate with like a couple other people, for the majority of the time. And then we came together kind of to discuss the whole thing as we went along. And not to mention, I remember when the project started, it was during like the middle of winter. So it was kind of slow season for everyone, it just worked out well in that sense.
Yeah, and it really depends on the project, how they organize it. Like, as Nan said, it could be broken down into smaller pieces, and that's where the group decides, and those are leadership skills on how you're going to execute.
I just wanted to maybe add something briefly about the commitment to the program itself. So if you're thinking of applying, we would definitely, let you know it is once a month, so it's not a major time commitment. And the expectation is that participants do attend all of the 10 sessions. The sessions are, even if they're on Zoom, they're not recorded. They're unique, they're individual, they're not repeated, so there's not an opportunity to make up a session really. And each topic is so different that I think, it's very critical to be present for those sessions. So when you're applying and thinking about the commitment, and if somebody has to miss a session, we have an allowance for that, but really it should be a commitment that you're willing to make to be there for the 10 sessions of the program from September through June.
All right, any other questions? So this video is being recorded and it will be shared and posted. I can speak for Gail and for Jana and say that if you have individual questions, you are welcome to reach out to us. We have a lot of the like frequently asked questions information available to you, so you can see that online, including those dates as well, the timeframes associated. So if there aren't any more questions, I just want to thank our panelists today for being here and answering your questions, the group's questions, as well as my questions. So thank you so much. I look forward to those of you that are in attendance today, seeing applications from you. We hope to see you at interviews. And again, reach out if you have any questions. We would love to talk further about the program. And if you think this program is right for someone else, please share it with your colleagues and let them know about the deadline. The deadline for applications is June 5th, and we do need those letters of recommendation with your application. So please start asking. Sometimes those office managers are busy folks and they're the last ones to get back with those letters. So start requesting those letters of recommendation now. Thank you, Nan. And Nan also said she's happy to answer any questions if anyone has, and Tiffany as well. And I know Laura would say the same thing.
And I would say too, feel free to share the information or the recording when you get it with anyone, not just maybe that you think would be a good participant, but with your broker or manager, because maybe they have someone in mind also that might be a great participant for the program. So share it out there to anyone that you think might spread the word and get us some great candidates.
Yep, and there was a question in the chat, how many letters of recommendation? 2 letters to accompany your application. And you're welcome to the past participants, all appear on the website. So check out the section of the Leadership Accelerator program. Maybe you'll recognize some of the other alumni and want to reach out to them and find out about their experience. They'll probably tell you very similar things that you heard today from Nan and Tiffany. The program has been extremely well received, and we hear from the participants all the time how much they got out of it. So we look forward to seeing you again in the future at and reading over your application. So, Gail, any last things you want to say before we?
No, I just, thank you to everybody who participated, listened in today. And as Catherine said, any questions, anything else we can tell you to decide whether it's the right program for you or whether you should at least consider applying, we'd be more than happy to speak to anybody individually.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.